Thank you for joining Cancer Support Community Atlanta for this program. Please visit our website, cscatlanta.org, for a complete list of live and recorded events. We invite you to sign up for our newsletter to stay connected to all future programs.
My name's Kristin. I'm one of the dietitians here at Northside Hospital Cancer Institute, and I am excited to have our very first seminar of the year, and we are talking about the nutrition goals for survivors. So I'm hoping this will be fairly interactive, although I can't really hear any of you guys, but this should be more engaging of a presentation where you're really thinking through different things for yourself. But I like to start all of our presentations with the disclaimer that this is more for general discussion or general review. If you are ever looking for one-on-one care or you need one-on-one interventions for things that are going on with you specifically, or maybe something doesn't sound like something that you're able to do with your diseases or your medical conditions that you have, then it's a good time to meet with a dietitian one-on-one, which we have at pretty much all of our clinics now that fall under the Northside Hospital Cancer Institute umbrella. And then if you go to other health systems like Emory, Wellstar, Piedmont, they also have dietitians on staff. So if you need help getting connected to somebody, please reach out to Emily or the cancer support community, and we will get you connected to the right people. So we do have some handouts that Emily is going to post on the website, but they're just little worksheets that you can utilize to help with goal setting and to understand a little bit more of what we are doing here today. But our objectives are going to be to review the AICR, which is the American Institute for Cancer Research, top 10 lifestyle recommendations for reducing cancer risk or risk of recurrence of cancer. And I wanted to put that in here because I did this presentation several years ago, and I did not have that in here. So it's just going to help us hone in on maybe different things that you're not doing currently that you could set goals to start doing. Then we're going to deep dive into defining goals and also goal setting, and then developing individual nutrition and health smart goals. All right, so the top 10 recommendations from the American Institute for Cancer Research. Number one is to be a healthy weight. That is different for everybody. It's not always the number on the scale. It has more to do with your muscle mass and your body composition and trying to reduce fat mass. So being more strong, having the strength to do those things that you want to do with your quality of life. So for some cancer survivors, especially if you're on maintenance drugs and that kind of thing, it can be a little bit more difficult to lose weight and become an ideal body weight, if you will. So I like to focus more on increasing your muscle mass and decreasing your fat mass when we think about healthy weight. Number two is to be physically active. So we know that we need to be moving around and staying active throughout the day. Number three is eating a diet that's rich in whole grains, fruits, vegetables, and legumes. More of a plant-based diet is what people tend to call that now. Limiting consumption of fast foods and other high in fat, starches, and sugar type foods in your diet. Limiting consumption of red and processed meats. Limiting consumption of sugar sweetened beverages, limiting alcohol consumption, trying not to use supplements to prevent cancer from happening if you have a deficiency and you do require, vitamin D or calcium or some of these other things. That's a very different story, but these are, your neighbors selling something and they tell you it's going to cure your cancer, just being cautious with that kind of stuff. If you are a mother and you're able to breastfeed, that helps to reduce your risk of cancer for you and your baby. And then after a cancer diagnosis, trying to follow as many of these recommendations as you can. So again, if you're actively going through treatment, this might not be feasible for you, or some of these might not be feasible for you. If you're more into the survivorship side of things, these tend to be where we want to start to set goals and get these things incorporated into our lives. So this is very helpful. I found a blueprint handout that will be posted online, and it's got all 10 of these recommendations. And so you can go through and circle ones that maybe you want to focus on, or maybe ones that don't even pertain to you. Maybe you don't even drink alcohol, so you're already doing that one. So you can check that off the list already. So that's not something you're going to be focusing on. But just having this blueprint is very helpful as a way to do things. So we always know that if you're setting goals, that you don't want to change everything all at one time. It's not very sustainable, and it just makes it harder to make those changes stick and to last. And a very interesting thing about nutrition and health and wellness goals is they don't tend to end. It's really a lifelong journey and an ongoing process. So you might reach a goal, but your goal then might become to maintain whatever success you've had during that process. So let's talk a little bit more about goals. Also, if you have more questions about diving a little deeper into the AICR recommendations, we have recorded presentations on the CSC Atlanta website that go over all of this much more in depth. So if I know I breezed over that a bit, if you're interested in learning more or having, again, that deep dive into those, that is an excellent place to start. And we do that program regularly throughout the year as well, because it is important to keep that at the top of mind. All right, so when we think about goals, defining what a goal is, it's really just the end toward which effort is directed. So what is the purpose, or what is the aim of what you're trying to accomplish doing? And then you also have goal setting, which is the process of identifying something that you want to accomplish and establishing measurable goals and timeframes, or also developing an action plan. So I'm sure you guys have heard all of the sayings that, you know, if you don't write goals down, you're not going to do it, or it's just a wish, and then you need to have a plan to make yourself successful. So that's really where we're going with this thing. It's the beginning of the year. A lot of people like to set resolutions. That's not always what we necessarily promote, but it's always a time for renewal, and people are thinking about these things and feel a little bit more inspired. But you can do goals any time of year. You don't have to wait until Monday. You don't have to wait until January. You just pick a day and you start moving forward. Okay, so thinking about the past year, think about a goal that you had set for yourself and maybe that you accomplished, and maybe something that you're proud of, something that was very important to you. It could be that you completed all of your cancer treatments and you got to ring the bell at the end. It could be that you showed up for your appointments. It could be that you started coming to these classes or the cooking demos. You joined a gym. So you really want to reflect on things that, again, you were able to accomplish, even if you didn't meet the full goal, but you made steps towards it. That's also something that we need to reflect on, and thinking about why you were motivated to work towards that and what's led to your success. So was it because you had a lot of structure, or because you wanted to come in to the cancer support community and see people and have connections or that kind of thing, but maybe you don't come to the virtual ones as much because you don't have that same connection. So just really thinking about those kind of things and what helps to motivate you is very important as a person. And then also breaking down maybe what steps that you did take to help, again, become successful in that goal. So that's just personal to you as we go through here. So why are we looking at setting goals? So people who set realistic and achievable goals are much more likely to have behavior change than those who do not set goals. So typically people I have seen who are just like, I'm going to lose 30 pounds, but they don't have a time frame. They don't have an action plan. It's just something that they blurted out, or maybe, you know, I just want to lose that 20 pounds that I gained. But we really want to be more intentional and help set those goals. And again, create that action plan to help get us where we want to go. So goals really become the roadmap to get you from where you are to where you want to be. And you are much more likely to take action when you yourself set your own goals and you develop your own action steps. So a lot of times people will come to healthcare providers or people in the community, and they just want us to hand them what they should be doing. But we can do that. It just, we know it's not going to be as successful for you as a person, that you really have to be involved and really get to the root of why you're doing something to help make it more successful. All right, so there are a couple different types of goals, and some of these overlap, and sometimes they sound the same, which is perfectly fine. But over the years, with all of the goal setting that I have done for my own personal use, I have found that I function best when I set process goals. So process goals are describing how to get where you want to be, and they use a technique and focus your attention on what you need to be doing in order to achieve the goal. So I like to try to be as consistent as possible. I like to lay out those steps that I know I'm in control of and that I'm able to do. That's just how my brain works. So you really have to figure out what kind of goal setting works for you. Outcome goals are not really concerned with the actions that you need to be doing. You just want to know what that end goal is. Like, I'm losing 30 pounds, or I'm going to save $10,000, or I'm going to sleep 8 hours every night. But outcome goals can also be influenced by other people's behavior or outside forces. And so sometimes that kind of derails us, or if you get deflated easily, these can be a little bit harder. But again, sometimes people, they don't need as much structure as like I need, or maybe you need. So these work for certain people. And then there are also performance goals. So these are more about your own behaviors, and they're used to monitor achievement of your process goals. So sometimes you'll have a process goal and a performance goal, again, that overlap. So let's break those down a little bit with some examples. So a process goal will be that I'm going to eat a salad every day for lunch. That's pretty straightforward. I'm going to make a salad. I'm going to eat the salad every day for lunch. We have salads here today for lunch, which is great. But restructuring that to somebody who focuses more on outcome goals might just be, I'm going to eat 5+ servings of vegetables per day. So you're going to get those 5 veggies in. That's the recommended amount to start with. And there's no action plan there. You might eat all 5 at dinner. You know, they're just not super specific. So, which is fine. And then there are performance goals. So maybe you're having that lunch every day of a salad, but a performance goal type thing would be breaking it down even further into having 2 to 3 servings of different color vegetables at lunch. So that means you're putting 2 or 3 different kinds of vegetables in that salad to make sure you're getting different colors and variety. So this can also be helpful if you have developed some consistent behavior change, but you want to either improve upon it, like maybe you're already running and you want to run faster or farther. You might start setting performance goals, like you're already in the process of running, but you want to do a little bit better or different from what you're doing. Okay, so the next one would be the running example that I gave. So a process goal might be that you're going to wake up every morning and you're going to run your 30 minutes before you ever get to work. So that's more of the process of how you're going to accomplish this goal. An outcome goal for running might be, I'm going to place in the top 10 in my age group at my next half marathon. Or a performance goal might be that I'm going to start running a 9-minute mile. So that's more measuring what your performance is. And then a non-food related one, money, savings, always a fun time. So a process might be, I'm going to put money into my savings account every pay period, where the outcome goal might going to be, I'm going to save $10,000 this year, where a performance goal might break it down further into, I'm going to transfer $385 every pay period into my savings, which hopefully if you're paid, you know, every other week, that would equal $10,000 at the end of the year. And there are some people who just get to December and they're like, I'm putting $10,000 in my savings account. So again, there are all different kinds of ways to get to where you want to be. It just kind of depends on how your brain is wired and what helps you to structure getting there. All right, so defining goals. I'm sure everybody's heard of SMART goals. I'm very nerdy when it comes to organizing and, you know, goal setting. But defining goals, again, is the first step in identifying something that you want to accomplish. So it could be something that you want to improve. It could be something that you're not currently doing that you want to start doing, or maybe something that you've been wanting to do, but just haven't had the motivation to get started. So SMART goals help us to make things more specific, which is the S, measurable, which is the M, attainable. We want to make sure that they are within our control, or that it's something that we could actually reach. Relevant would be the R, and then time-based or time-bound is the T. We're going to break all those down. All right, so specific goals, these are easier for you to achieve and help to motivate you. Again, taking the time to goal set and set these goals is very important when you're ready to do something like this. And that's just really helps you dive into what's motivating you to get into this goal. So trying to include as much detail as possible. That includes the time frame for when you will make the change. So again, you want to try to hold yourself accountable here, and then include anyone else who's going to be involved. So if you have a goal of wanting to maybe change your diet around or start eating more fruits and vegetables, but you also have a family that you're cooking for, they may also be impacted by your goal. But if they become a barrier because they don't want to eat more vegetables, that doesn't mean that you can't do it. We just have to find a workaround for it. So an example could just be, I want to eat better. I hear this all the time, but what does that actually mean? What are we currently eating? What do we need to improve upon? So you want to be as specific as you can when it comes to that, because again, a big sweeping, I want to eat better isn't going to help you to really focus every day and every meal on what you're eating. So a better example might be that you're going to pack your lunch 5 days a week and you're going to pack fruit instead of chips for your afternoon snack. So that's very specific to what you're going to do. Maybe you currently eat out most of your lunches and you're looking for a way to save money, but also to make some of those healthier choices and something that you can control. So this would be an example of being as specific as you can. All right, so a measurable goal. So you want to add some kind of measurement. How are you going to know that you're being successful with the goal that you set for yourself? So some examples based off of, the last specific goal that we made. Have you or have you not met this goal? You can easily ask, did I pack my lunch? Yes or no. So if you packed your lunch those 5 days, if you only packed 3 out of 5, that's okay. You just keep on keeping on. It's about just building those behaviors. Did you pack a fruit instead of chips? Yes or no. So it's very easy for you to be able to track your progress and hold yourself accountable. So other considerations could be like how much. So maybe you're out running and you're wanting to increase going from 20 minutes to 30 minutes running per day. So you know how much time you ran. Or maybe how many. Maybe your goal is, I currently eat 1 vegetable a day and I want to get up to 3 vegetables in the next 2 weeks per day. So how many vegetables did you have that day? You can really break this down however you want it to be. And then again, at the end of the day, how will you know if you accomplish this? It's not a super difficult one, but sometimes people's goals get very complex and it can make it just a little bit more hard to know. So is your goal attainable? So making sure you're considering any barriers that could prevent you from reaching your goal. So a good one could be, I know I'm harping on a lot of vegetable consumption right now, but it's just a passion of mine these days. But maybe you only like a handful of vegetables, but you haven't tried a lot of other vegetables. So that could be a barrier to you getting 5 servings of vegetables in every day. So what are some things that you might need to do to get over those barriers? So it could be coming to the CSC cooking demos and learning different ways of different vegetable preparations and different recipes that they might have. It could be trying a different vegetable every month just to see if you like different things. It could be attending different education classes to learn how to prepare different items. It could be that you need to build up your recipe log just to have a variety of things if you get bored easily. If you've never run or you don't have a good pair of tennis shoes, a barrier might be that your feet hurt when you are trying to run. So maybe going and finding new shoes or getting help on like what shoes you need to have. So just making sure you have all the tools you need to reach your goal. And that can be part of your action steps. You don't have to throw out a goal just because you're like, oh, I don't know how to get started with that. There are people that can help get you prepared and ready to go. And then making sure your goal is realistic and achievable, because nothing is worse than setting yourself up for failure and knowing that you're not going to be able to accomplish something. So asking yourself, how can I accomplish this goal? So a good example is somebody who's brand new to running and they set their goal to run a marathon next month. If you've never run, and some people can, I'm sure they can just go out there and run it and be fine. But that's a lot of miles. So a more attainable or realistic goal might be to start at a 5K instead of like the marathon right out of the gate. So it might take you a year to get to a marathon or 2 years to get to a marathon. So just making sure it's attainable for where you're at in your current life is a good way to set yourself up for some success. All right, relevant goals. So does this goal matter to you? I have a lot of goals for a lot of people, but that doesn't mean that they want me to have those goals for them. So this is why it's very important for you to set your own goals and for you to be involved in your care and for you to be involved in your health and making those decisions. Because when it matters to you, you're going to make sure that you're doing the things that need to be done to make it happen. Is it worthwhile? So whatever you're trying, is it bringing you joy? Is it helping your health? Is it doing the things that you wanted it to do? And if it's not, it's okay to pivot and change other things around. And is it the right time? So we get this a lot too when people are first diagnosed with cancer. It's a very ideal time for people to change the way that they're eating and what they're drinking and all of this stuff. Or they might have very lofty goals for themselves and not know that they have a long road ahead with treatment and how that's going to make them feel. So again, it's okay if something's not the right time and you need to delay it or revisit it in a few months to see if it is going to be the right time. Time-based or time-bound goals. So this is going to be setting that time frame on there. So a goal should be grounded within a time frame. So I mentioned at the beginning that a lot of health goals are very much ongoing. So you just don't start eating 5 fruits and vegetables in a month and then not eat them for the rest of the 11 months of the year. So it's something that you're working up to, but you can still set deadlines for when you want to be at certain places. So having a deadline helps us to create urgency, which the human brain tends to like, and then it also can help to keep you accountable. So if you are, again, trying to increase your running and you get to 2 weeks and you thought you would be running at least 15 minutes every day, but you're only running 10, that's okay. You're just checking in with yourself. You're like, ooh, I wanted to be here, but I'm not. So then you can kind of adjust from there. So these are always going to be fluid situations for most goals. You can set a target date for your goal to be complete. And again, if it's more of a long-term or a lifetime goal, then setting milestones and times to check in to make sure you're on track will be important. So even thinking about like wanting to go on a special vacation and you need to budget and plan and save for that. So that might be a long-term goal for you. It might take you a year or 2 to get the funds to make that happen, but you can still be planning and setting aside things and checking in with yourself to make sure that you're on track to reach that goal. All right, so setting ourselves up for success. Don't try to change all of your behaviors at one time. I know a lot of people just like to do a full 180, make all the changes and try to keep up with that. But if it's not your normal routine or like what you're used to, it can just be very difficult to keep up with that. It's fun when it's exciting and, you know, a couple weeks in and you're doing great. But then all of that change all at one time can be very draining and very overwhelming. So it's okay to just change a few things at a time, especially when you're thinking about a lifetime of health. So again, not everything has to be changed today. Managing your goals with a daily to-do list of your action plans, checking off action plans or action items when you can. A lot of people like to make things like vision boards or have things on their refrigerator or just somewhere where they see them often, so you can really make sure that goal is top of mind. Reviewing your goal list weekly, helping to check off any completed goals or completed action items. You can add some new goals if you need to, or measure your progress towards your goal. Celebrate the victories that you have. Again, even if you don't fully reach your goal, if you took 2 steps forward and 1 step back, you're still 1 step ahead. So celebrating those kind of things is very important. We want to have joy and happiness in our lives. And of course, we can always adjust when needed. These are goals that you set for yourself, and you are the one that's in control. So you adjust, pivot, change things as you need to. All right, so I created a bunch of just random, simple goals just to help get us started, but I'm hopeful that you guys have kind of picked one area that you're thinking of as we've gone through and once we went through the AICR list. But here again are just some samples that we can kind of work off of, and we're going to do the worksheet exercise towards the end. But say you want to start exercising X number of days for at least X number of minutes. So right now you may not exercise at all. So exercising 3 days a week for 20 to 30 minutes might be a very realistic and more attainable goal for you. But if you're somebody who's already working out 30 minutes a day, 7 days a week, and you want to change that around, then by all means you can do that. Or maybe this just isn't a goal for you because you're already doing those things. Eating at least X number of servings of fruit and X number of servings of vegetables, certain number of days a week. So right now, again, this takes a lot of reflecting to know where you're currently at. If you're only eating 1 or 2 servings of fruits and vegetables every day, and the recommendation is 5 to 7 servings of fruits and vegetables every day, then looking at ways to increase that. You're not going to go from 1 to 2 servings most days to 5 to 7 servings most days overnight. So building that up and what that looks like. Is it going to take you a month? Is it going to take you 2 months to get there? And how can we help to get you there? Packing your lunch X number of days. So if you're always on the run or on the go and you have to eat out a lot, what ways can you pack your lunch? Do we need to find things that are more car friendly if you travel a lot for your workday? Just, are you too tired at night to pack your lunch for the next day? Could we pack a couple lunches a few days before? So again, these are just some ideas to help get your inspiration percolating. If you drink sodas, limiting sodas, trying to reduce those sugar sweetened beverages. If you drink 2 or 3 every day, can we cut down to just 1 a day for a few weeks and then trying to spread those out over the course of the week to see how you do with that? Keeping a food record of a full week's worth of food. Maybe you'd have no idea what you currently typically eat. It's just not something that's been on your radar. So you don't know how many fruits and vegetables you have or what kind of protein foods you like to eat. So your first goal might just be to keep that food record. And then the last one on this page would be, I will increase vegetable intake from 1 serving per day to 2 servings per day of different vegetables every day this week. All right, we have 3 slides of these. Limiting sweets to X number of times per week. So you may be somebody who eats dessert all 3 meals every day. So you may be somebody who just has sweets once a week, and maybe this isn't a goal that you need to work on. So again, other things to think about is, even if you're limiting your sweets or your sugar consumption, is portion size. So maybe you do only stick to 1 sweet per week, but is it the whole cake? Because that is going to cause problems itself. So really thinking through some of that and trying to be a little bit more specific. Dry January apparently is a very large thing that I wasn't really aware of until this year, but I'm not going to consume any alcohol this month. So a lot of people are already doing that for January. Again, you may never drink or have never drunk, so this doesn't even pertain to you. But if you think alcohol is more of an issue for you, this could be a good place to start. A lot of people have a very hard time with hydration and their water intake. So setting a daily number of glasses of water that you want to try to consume is a great place to start. Creating a meal plan for the next week's menu, including your breakfast, lunch, and dinner before you go grocery shopping, could be a goal for you. So maybe you do well with meal planning, maybe just dinner, but then you forget to buy things at the grocery store for your lunch. So this could help set you up for a little bit better success for the rest of your meals. Or something like, I'm going to go to the new Zumba class being offered at my gym this week. Again, you're just writing a goal down, you put a time to it, you have an action step ready to go. Other creative ones, I will try a new vegetable every month for 2023. So last year I was really into trying leeks and all these different leek recipes because I had no idea how to buy a leek, where to buy a leek, what to do with a leek once I bought it. So I had to watch some YouTube videos, try to figure out what to do with that leek. And then I started trying different foods from there. So that's a fun one. I will replace refined grains with higher fiber whole grain options. So maybe you're like, ooh, I don't really eat any whole grain foods anymore. So building yourself up to getting those higher fiber foods. Maybe you're interested in trying more meatless food options, but still getting your protein from plant-based protein. So you might have a meatless Monday every Monday, could be a goal. Getting your steps in throughout the day. Maybe you do not like exercising, or you can't exercise, or you're too fatigued to exercise yet, but you can walk. And so starting off with, I'm only getting 3,000 steps a day. So maybe over the next 2 to 3 weeks, I'm going to work up to 5,000 steps consistently each day and kind of working up from there. Maybe you already work out and you're lifting some weights and you're at 5 pounds, but those are starting to feel a little bit lighter. So you want to bump it up to 8 pounds in the next week to start strength training and keep your muscles growing. All right. So those are just a bunch of random goals just to get, again, the juices flowing. So what is a goal that you would like to accomplish in the future? We've got 2 people in the room here. They're working on their stuff, but I'm sure you at home are also taking notes and writing some stuff down. You do not have to share if you don't want to share, but if anybody wants to share, we will take it. Really thinking about why that goal is going to be important to you. And then what steps do you need to take to make yourself successful at reaching that goal? So really outlining your action plan. So again, for the people in the room, they have the worksheet, and then Emily's posting the worksheet online for us. But again, writing your goals and action plan down is going to make you stay accountable, make sure you're right on track. Even better, writing it down first, but also sharing it with somebody that's going to support you, a friend, a family member, just somebody that can check in with you and be like, hey, you said you wanted to walk every day this week. How's that going? Or maybe somebody that could go walking with you. Sometimes when you have somebody waiting on you and they're going to do it with you, that is very helpful. Again, if you have families at home that you're also cooking for or want them to be more active, trying to get them involved in this process and how you can do more family activities, have your family helping you cook and prepare meals so they're learning the process as you go. Just anything like that, any kind of support that you're able to get will help to make you accountable, which most people tend to need. I need a lot of structure and accountability. And then creating an accountability challenge with others that are working on same or similar goals. So a lot of people, again, like to do that. We have great support groups that are here going on, which don't necessarily focus on these kind of things, but you might find a friend or a connection there of somebody who's also working on something that you're trying to do. And so you guys can talk about it and find things that are working for both of you. And then, of course, tracking your goals and progress. So a lot of people are much more successful at their goals than they give themselves credit for. But again, maybe they didn't hit that benchmark that they had set for themselves because it was a little bit too far out of the attainability at the time, but you're much closer to that goal than you were when you started. And again, those victories need to be celebrated as well. And then to celebrate, we want to try to pick non-food related reward systems because food is there to nourish us. It's not just there to celebrate things, but we want to make sure that we're supporting our health goals. And, again, I hear a lot of like, oh, I had a cheat day because I lost 5 pounds, and then they don't feel good about it after they do that. So we want to make sure we're not rewarding or punishing ourselves using food because that doesn't create a very healthy relationship with food. But you can do things like getting a massage, having a mani-pedi, getting a new cute workout outfit. I worked out 30 days. I need something cute to wear. Maybe you buy yourself some fresh flowers just as a celebration. You could take yourself to the movies or maybe have your hair cut in a new style, new running shoes, planning a vacation. Something simple as getting a new water bottle. I'm a very simple person. I get very excited about that. So just thinking about those little things that you can do that aren't going to be, again, creating a strained relationship with food. All right, so this is more of the worksheet that we have, which is the SMART goals. It's a starting with like an initial goal and then building onto that and going a little bit further in depth. So I have an example up here. And again, if anybody wants to share or work through their own goal, we can do that as a group. I think we have time. Yes, this is a shorter presentation. But again, I hear a lot of people just say they want to eat healthier. So we need to make that more specific. what does that mean? Think about it. So I put mine as not eating enough vegetables every day, because even as a dietitian, sometimes I fall flat too, because 5 servings is quite a lot. But I know that I like vegetables, so that's good. I know that vegetables help to reduce cancer risk. It helps to reduce like heart disease, diabetes, a lot of other health conditions too. So I know that there's a health benefit there. I just have to make sure I'm making it more of a priority. So it's more of a priority issue. So to be more specific is just, I will eat at least 5 vegetables per day. So measurable, it's already measurable. I know I need to have 5 vegetables per day, every day, if I can. And is it achievable? I think so. I have skills. I know what vegetables are. I know what vegetables I like. I know how many servings make up a vegetable. Like I know I need a cup of leafy green vegetables to make 1 serving. But I know my salads are already 2 cups of spinach. So I'm actually getting 2 right there from a salad. So those things are important. But finding new recipes may be very helpful for me to accomplish this and to have that skill set to change things up. And then it's relevant to me because I know that they are healthy and that they can help reduce my cancer risk. And then time bound, I do a fairly decent job of getting them in. It's just not a consistent thing every day. So I think by the end of the month, I would be able to consistently be eating that and have it into a routine. It's not going to take a whole lot. So this is more of a smaller goal, but for somebody who doesn't eat any vegetables, this could be a very large goal and you might need more time than just 2 weeks. All right. Did that help? Does anybody have comments, things they want to share?
Yeah, I was just thinking about when you're creating your like grocery order, because I've started doing grocery orders because it helps me stay on track and eat healthy and only, not get tempted by those things in the grocery store, of just thinking, okay, what could be my vegetable snack for that day? And then if you order that enough, it becomes like a reoccurring item in your cart. So it's like automatic, oh, my carrots, I got to add the carrots. Just starting those behaviors creates new behaviors.
Yep. Just builds right on top of each other.
Yep.
Yes. All right. So making this more into the SMART goal of I will consistently eat 5 servings of vegetables by the end of February. Some things I might need to do action step-wise is keeping a food journal to determine how many vegetables I'm actually eating every day and which meals are providing the most vegetables and which meals have the least amount of vegetables. And that way I can review what I'm doing well and what maybe needs to have some tweaks to it. And it could be something as simple as, oh, I have this meal and I could add a little pack of broccoli to it or a little pack of carrots to help get some vegetables at the meal. But if I don't know what it looks like, it's hard to visualize, right? So reviewing the amount that is considered a serving for vegetables. So again, sometimes that can be a little bit tricky, but we don't need to overcomplicate it. If you're chopping up vegetables, it's usually a half cup is a serving. So if you are doing like shredded carrots and some bell peppers with your spinach salad, it would be about a half cup of your shredded carrots and a half cup of the chopped bell peppers, for example. So that could be 3 servings of vegetables right there, just with a cup of spinach, a little bit of carrots, and some bell peppers. Making a list of all the vegetables that you like, or getting a list of vegetables and like marking off what you do like, what you don't like, maybe what you've never tried, and seeing if you can find those in the store and just buy a little bit and see if you like those things, just to switch things up a bit. Again, attending the CSC culinary cooking demos for new recipe ideas is very helpful. I recently learned how to but cut up garlic and use it in a soup recipe when the last one I came to was here. And then I learned that the squash he was using, you could actually use the skins in the soup and just blend it up. So you can always learn new things when you're attending a lot of these seminars. Buying a variety of frozen vegetables to have on hand. So maybe you do have a very busy schedule, or you've got a lot of people in the household that you're caring for and planning for, and you just forget about veggies that day, but you easily can pull some out of the freezer and cook those, roast them, steam them, whatever you like to do with them. Or if you're living by yourself, or maybe there's only 1 or 2 of you and you're like, oh, I hate buying fresh produce because it always goes bad. Frozen is a perfectly great option to help make you more successful in this area. And then writing down each day what vegetables that you had so that you can start getting into that routine. So it's kind of like Emily doing her shopping cart and having the same vegetables in there so they become a more recurring item. So you can really see what you're being successful at, because it might be that you bought broccoli, squash, and tomatoes, and you ate your broccoli and your squash, but you really didn't eat your tomatoes. So then you have to figure out, well, why didn't I eat my tomatoes? Was I just not craving those? Did I not make any dishes that have it? Now it's wrinkly and I can't eat it. So maybe the next time you'll buy other things until you're ready to commit to the tomato. It just varies. All right, we'll do one more. Hopefully you're working on your own through here, but and again, if you want to share, we can work through some of these together. But an initial goal, I want to work out more. Again, what does that mean? Are you already working out, but you want to do more workouts? Or I've never worked out and I need to start working out. You want to try to narrow that down and be more specific with what you got going on. So to be more specific, I do not currently work out, so I would like to be more physically active most days of the week. Then we can dig down into what that means. So making it measurable, I will be successful if I do some form of physical activity. Is it achievable? Yes, I do actually love walking and I love to do yoga. I'm just not currently doing that, so I can make that a priority. And then is it relevant? Sure, physical activity may help to reduce cancer risk and other chronic diseases. So that's always an A+. And then helping people sleep better at night. So maybe you're having a tough time falling asleep or staying asleep, and physical activity has been shown to help people sleep better. So these are some pretty relevant things that would be very beneficial and worth my time to do. And then time bound, by the end of March, I will consistently be doing physical activity every day. So SMART goal, I will consistently exercise 30 minutes, 5 to 7 days per week. So this is a little bit more generic because it's not saying what type of exercise or physical activity. So some people might need to narrow it down. Maybe they want to do yoga as their exercise and that's the only exercise they want to do. Maybe you want to try different things every day. That's up to you. But that's where this action plan would come into. So you've set your goal, you want to do this exercise. So January, because I'm not exercising currently and I want to make this realistic and achievable for me, is to start exercising at least 15 minutes, 5 days per week. So walking during my lunch break for 15 minutes. Before y'all got in here, I was pacing up and down the hallway to get some extra steps in. And then maybe I will commit to joining a gym and doing 15 minutes, 5 days a week, just to get into that routine of going to the gym those 15 minutes. Maybe I'll try out some different equipment while I'm there or pop into some of the classes to see what I like and what I want to spend my time doing. You could invite a friend to go hiking twice a month just to have something a little bit different. You can attend 2 CSC exercise classes. They do nature walks, yoga, Tai Chi, all kinds of stuff here. A lot of it's done virtually. So if you're like, ooh, I could walk 3 days a week, but what will I do the other 2 days? Or today it's very gloomy and rainy and maybe you normally walk outside, but you can't. So you could easily pop in to one of the virtual classes. And then just to keep the ball rolling, increasing exercise to 20 minutes for those 5 days a week in February. And then really trying to work towards that goal in March of getting to the 30 minutes, 5 to 7 days per week in March or by the end of March. So I know goal setting and action plan making can take a lot of time out of your day and it can prevent people from getting started too. So you don't want to be so in depth that you're like, well, I spent the last 4 hours setting all these goals. I don't have time to get to the gym. So also being mindful of that, just setting aside a smaller amount of time each week just to check in with yourself, see how things are going. If you're not even working on a goal and you're like, that's not really important to me right now, just setting it aside. I like to have little parking lot items that you put in the parking lot and they just sit there until you're ready to focus on them. But that way you don't forget about them if they end up being important. But if anybody wants to share something that they've done in the past that was successful, or maybe the reward system that they used to celebrate some of their victories.
Extremely helpful. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome. Again, I know goal setting can be tedious, but it can definitely help get the ship pointed in the right direction to where we want to be.
Someone suggesting doing a meal planning service kit. It helps with meal planning and having a balanced diet.
Yep. And there are a lot of those too that are out there, different companies that offer that. And there's some that already come cooked and you just have to reheat them. Just depends on what your needs are. And sometimes even just using those just to get started if you haven't cooked in a while, or maybe you're newer to cooking or just need a little bit of extra motivation, getting some of those kits can help be like, okay, this is a meal that I like, and then you can recreate it yourself down the road as well.
All right. Well, if there's no further questions, we are right at 1 o'clock now. So I want to be mindful of Kristin's time, but thank you everybody for joining us virtually and in person. We had some in-person participants as well. And we look forward to our presentation next month, which will be on heart health for February. So that will be a virtual presentation with Kristin, and you can sign up on our website, cscatlanta.org. And also, if you're interested, we have our cooking demo tomorrow with Chef Mike, and it is going to be new recipes for the new year. So we invite you to join us either in person or virtually over Zoom for that presentation tomorrow at noon. And everyone have a wonderful rest of your day.
Thank you for joining Cancer Support Community Atlanta for this program. If you're interested in other live or recorded programs, please visit the online program tab of our website, cscatlanta.org. Or follow us on Facebook. We'll be sharing additional information on upcoming programs.